I've been at the University of Sioux Falls since July of 2012, but I didn't move into the athletic director position until August of 2018. And I was the interim athletic director until December of 2018. So for 3 full years, I've been the acting athletic director. We had a good year. It was nice. We were able to have fall sports again. You can remember during COVID, we didn't have our fall sports, so that was wonderful. We had a big homecoming win against Augustana for football, so that's always fun. Our football team won a South Division, a share of the South Division title, so that was good. Our volleyball team is much improved because we have a new coach and they're well on their way to still be very competitive in a very competitive conference. Our soccer team is improving as well. And our cross country teams, we had some young talent and some older veterans that really came forward for us as well. So we had a good fall. And we have some sports that play in the fall and the spring, like golf. And golf, our women's golfer, Maggie Bingdahl, just made regionals, and she found that out, so she's a success story for us there. In the winter, we had men's and women's basketball. Women's basketball, despite some injuries, and did quite well. And our men's basketball team, they had a really big game at the start of the season. They beat the #1 team in the nation, Northwest Missouri State, and that was a real signature win for their program. Our track and field, indoor track and field, sent 2 throwers to nationals, and Emma Hertz got 3rd at nationals, and then our swimmers, we sent 3 swimmers to nationals, and they all were able to compete in 2 events. In the spring, it's been a challenging spring weather-wise, very hard. Softball, baseball, reverse siding, and just trying to get the games in. And our baseball team is doing quite well. They're 5th in the conference right now, and the top 8 make the conference tournament. Our softball team's still trying to vie for a spot. They really struggled because they lost some games because of a blizzard up in North Dakota, so they lost those games. Our track and field athletes are doing quite well. They have conference coming in a couple weeks, and our golf teams did well this year. They have some young talent that's coming through. Our tennis team made a conference this last weekend, and they got the doubles point against Winona State and had a chance with single play to possibly move on in their bracket, and they just missed out on that, but they had a good tennis season. So records that were broken this year. We had Emma Hertz and Tyler Hyatt on our track and field team. They're both throwers. They seem to be breaking their own records every week, so that's been fun to watch. And then we've had some other, records that were broken. Individual sports end up having more records that are broken. So I think Kanaya Henderson has broken her 100 and 200 mark, and then I think. It's hard whether it's a personal record or if it's a USF record. There have been a number of other really good performances by our swimmers have done some probably record-breaking performances. So we started the year pretty conservative. They were testing anybody who wasn't vaccinated. We were still struggling with people coming back to campus, and we had some cancellations, not a lot in our conference, but a few that were canceled. Then winter sports, we struggled a bit with after Christmas break. Some games were canceled as well. The NCAA did a good job of continuing to change as the pandemic changed. And so now we're to the point where no one accepts a symptomatic person needs to test. And that's not where we were before. If you weren't vaccinated, you had to test weekly. And now for spring championships and pretty much after March Madness was done with Division I basketball, they switched, Dr. Hainline switched the protocols from the NCAA. And it's just if you're symptomatic that you have to test. We are meeting as a conference, as a working group to try to determine what's next because everybody doesn't know, is COVID something we're going to have to live with moving forward, and what would constitute canceling an event. So if you can remember, men's basketball had some cancellations because of COVID this year, and at that point in time they had 3 or 4 players that were ill that couldn't, and so we have to determine what would constitute needing a medical event that would need to be either canceled or postponed. And so that's the work ahead of us.